Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Gina with Texas Veterans Leadership Program, and I'm joined here today I've got my co-host, Lenny with Workforce Solutions. And also, the reason you guys are here, we have Jennifer with Jolie. She is here with us to tell us about Jolie. So if you want to take over and tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get started here.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer. I am a recruiter for Jolie Enterprise. We provide supplemental labor to different clients in the area. Um, I've been with the company, I would say, going on 2 years, but in this particular field as a recruiter, I've been in for about 3 years, actually. I have a wonderful boss that has been in this industry for, believe it or not, 18 years. And I have learned a lot from her, and I still am continuing to learn a lot from her because with 18 years in this industry, it's amazing, very amazing. So, like I said, I'm fortunate to have her by my side in the recruiting process. We hire so many different crafts, and having to learn all the crafts, it can be a little bit challenging, but you know what? I love challenges. I like to be able to find work for people. They're out there and trying to find this work. And as a recruiter, it's rewarding to be able to find somebody that can come and work with us, and just, it's just very rewarding in my aspect as a recruiter, trying to find people and put people to work.
That's great. So, could you tell me a little bit about Jolie? So, for anyone that's unfamiliar with the company, tell us a little bit about the kind of people that you hire, like what kind of positions. Tell us a little bit about the company, and also like who you're looking for, who your ideal candidate is.
So we do have two locations. We have a company in the Brownsville area. So we do offer work for those that are in the Valley area. We are here in Corpus Christi. So we currently have two offices that are open. We do hire even offshore positions that we're expanding even to offshore. We hire such as welders, pipe fitters, structural fitters, crane operators, riggers. Actually, I have a chart back here, and it lists numerous different crafts that we bring in for our client. Riggers, painters, scaffold builders. The list goes on and on and on. We have been very fortunate that with one of our clients, they can depend on us to bring in whatever craft that they're needing that unfortunately they can't bring in themselves. They reach out to us, and we can provide those crafts to them. So like I said, we do have two different locations in Ingleside here near Corpus Christi, and then in Brownsville as well. So we just provide supplemental labor. What the client needs, we provide them with. We work very closely with Workforce Solutions. We do a lot of we have a lot of social platforms, Work in Texas, we utilize that. We also utilize Indeed. We have our own websites that are available for those that are interested in looking for work with our company, so they can go on our online websites, and go ahead and connect with us and see if we can go ahead and find some work for them. We also utilize TikTok. TikTok is very big right now, so that's an audience that we do reach out to, because there's so many people that are on TikTok. So we share a lot of our work in on that social platform as well.
I don't think I knew employment was on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention, for those of you that have tuned in, if you have questions, please type those in the Q&A. That's the whole reason that we do this. So type your questions in the Q&A. Lenny and I will be monitoring that and be asking those questions. We're going to be putting Jennifer on the spot to answer all these
No,
questions.
I am open to any kind of questions. If for whatever reason there is a question that I may not have an answer for, I will definitely go in and do the research and get that answer for you. Because like I said, I want to make sure that we're on the same page, and I know y'all are want to get this information. So if for whatever reason there's a question that I may not have the answer for you right now, uh, please don't worry. We will find an answer for you, and we'll just reach back out to you. Okay. Um, let's see.
Well,
So there
we
is a question in the box, and it's asking for your website. Can you give us your website address?
Yes, we have two different websites. They can go at apply Ingleside jolieenterprise.com. We also have another one that's set up for Brownsville as well.
I'll put that in the chat
Can I
for
put that in the
everybody.
chat? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I'll
Go
put it in
ahead
the
and put
chat,
that
and
in
then
there.
I'll also type the response to the question. So I'll type that in, and then I'll put it in the chat so everyone can access that both places. So is that your ideal place to have people apply is to your website, or you also mentioned Work in Texas and Indeed? Where's the best place for people to view open positions and apply?
It would actually, they can both utilize Workforce and the Workforce Work in Texas, I'm sorry, as well as our online applications. We check those online applications on a day-to-day basis. Like I said, applying Ingleside at Jolie Enterprise. I'm trying to get those entered in here on this.
There, I already did it. Don't worry about it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Type
But
it in.
yes,
You're welcome.
thank you, thank you. So we also utilize Indeed as well. Like I said, Work in Texas, or if they want to come in person, we have our addresses that are on those websites. Or if they want to email us personally, they can contact us via email personally. We do interviews, we take in walk-ins that are coming in to fill out an application. You know, if we don't have work for them in this area, we definitely try to help them in relocating with a different project. You know, like I said, since we have two different offices, if there's not a work for them in this area, we more than welcome them to go and apply, or we can transfer them to the Brownsville yard and see if they're hiring that particular craft over there.
Wonderful. So if there is a transfer, then do you guys offer assistance for relocation as far as like relocation costs, or is that kind of just up to the person?
Yes. Unfortunately, the company does not offer like financial assistance with relocating. We do have we do have people that we can provide them with information to help them with like housing areas, hotels to where they can go and stay for on-site testing. Because majority of the time, all these crafts will have to be on site with our client to do their testing. So if they are traveling from afar, you know, we do help them with, you know, maybe finding a hotel. But as far as on the financial aspect, we do not provide any kind of financial assistance in that. But we try to help them in whatever way we can for them to get down there and do the testing. And even in this area too, in Ingleside, you know, we do have some resources that we can refer them to, that may be renting out a room, or we have RV locations that they can go in and stop by and talk to them to see if any of these RVs are available for them to stay by, you know,
Fantastic.
in the time frame while they're here working.
So definitely some assistance, just maybe not on the financial side, but you've got those resources to help. That's great.
Yes, yes. We try to do our best to try to, you know, help these people come into this area, even if, you know, like I said, they're from out of town. We understand that there's changes then as far as they're relocating. So we try to do our best to try to help them in that aspect with trying to find some housing in this area. Or if it's just for testing purposes, you know, we refer them to a hotel that, you know, we do get, they get some bit of a discount. So, I mean, that helps out some to some people who are, you know, traveling, like I said, and are trying to find work. So
Speaking of finding work, we have another question in the box. It says, is your company hiring for IT system administrators?
For IT administrators, at this moment, we are not we are not hiring for that craft here in the Ingleside area. Now in Brownsville, we possibly are hiring over there. I just have to get an update on it. So like I said, since we hire so many different crafts, um, it doesn't mean that at this time, because we're not hiring it, doesn't mean in the future that we're not going to have that position available. Like I said, Brownsville and Ingleside, we are one company, but of course the crafts in Brownsville are going to differ from over here, just depending on the client, whether they're needing these welders or pipe fitters, whatever craft that is needed, in the two different locations that we have, we just try to bring them in the best qualified candidates for those areas. And for future references, even if they call and we don't have one available, I highly recommend, and I talk to our people who call on a day-to-day basis, that unfortunately at the time, if we're not hiring, I tell them please follow up with us, because in this type of industry, changes are from one day to the next. One day we may not be needing a pipe fitters, and then the next day, hey, we need about 10 people to come in. So in this industry, I let the people who call in looking for work, hey, unfortunately at this time we don't, but check back with me at the end of the week. Send me a text message, send me an email, please stay in contact, so that way when there is an opportunity, we can reach back out to you and see if you're available. So I do keep a spreadsheet, both me and my boss, of anyone who does come by the office to apply, or if they call us, I will take their information down. So I have a spreadsheet that I've created so that way we can keep track of those that are calling and asking about jobs. And, like I said, maybe this week we may not need a crane operators, but, come Monday morning, our clients requesting for that particular craft. So I'll go back, look at my spreadsheet, and I'll have people that have called, inquiring about that position. So I reach out to them and check their availability. And if they are available, then, we can move on in the hiring process.
That's great. And the link that I put in the chat and in the Q&A, when you click on that link, there's two buttons there. One button is for the Ingleside location and one is for the Brownsville location. And that takes you to your electronic application I saw. So whenever someone fills out that application, do you know, is it held on to for, is it like 30 days? So maybe they should refill it out like every 30 days or something? I didn't know.
Majority of the time, these the applicants that are online, they're on here for however long. I would say at least 30 days. But even if we're not hiring for that particular craft, I try to reach out to every applicant just to make contact with them, to let them know that we did get their online application, and let them know, hey, if you like, we can put you on our wait list. We may not have it today, but tomorrow's a different day. So the client may reach out to us and ask us, hey, we need electricians, we need electrician apprentices, we need riggers. Like I said, it's so wonderful that Jolie Enterprise can provide like so many different crafts that in this area, it's competitive, obviously, but the fact that our company is so diverse and bringing in multi-crafts has really been very helpful with the company and helping it grow. Like I said, I'm very excited. I've been with the company, like I said, a little over maybe 2 years actually already, and in this particular field, 3 years. So like I said, since it's opened up so many different crafts, it's helped us to stay very busy, and the company has been growing. Like I said, I mentioned earlier before, we even have opportunities for people to go and work offshore. Of course, there are qualifications that need to be met, the work experience out in offshore. So there's different requirements for that particular position. And even with some of these other applicants or candidates, we need to make sure that they do have the experience, because they are informed that Majority of the time they will have to do, a written exam. They'll have to do a hands-on test. They're on site with their clients. That's both here in Ingleside in the Brownsville area.
That's great. It's really nice that you have that extra like personal touch. Because I know a lot of times when applying for a job, sometimes people don't hear anything back or when they submit an application. So I have to say that that's really nice. So it's good to hear. And I think there's a couple more questions. Lenny, you want to take some of those?
Let's start this one. Is there a list of open positions on your website that they can go and just see what's available?
Yes, if they actually go on Work in Texas, there is a list of the positions that we are currently hiring right now. On the actual like Apply Ingleside website or Brownsville website. Now they can apply. It's just a basic application. They can go in there and they can put in whatever craft that they're experienced in. So it's a little bit different than from Work in Texas, because in Work in Texas it does list those exact positions that we are currently hiring for. Rather than on the website, they're more than welcome to apply for a forklift operator position, and so if we need a forklift operator position, we'll talk to them, let them know, hey, you applied online for a forklift operator position, which, by the way, we have brought in forklift operators as well for one of our clients. So we'll reach out to them, let them know, hey, thank you for applying for a forklift operator. At this time, we're not hiring, but we keep their applications. I would say probably for at least 3 months, we'll have them on file, or even longer, honestly. I like to add, I have a spreadsheet, so I like to add all these different crafts, because we never know when our client's going to ask for another craft, But on Work in Texas, they can go in there and see exactly which crafts that we are hiring at this moment.
Okay, and your phone number and email, that's on the website. So if they went on the website, they could get your phone number to the office and your office email, correct?
Yes, sir. Everything
that
is
was another question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yes, on the website they can reach out to us. Our company cell phone numbers are on there. Our address to the office should also be on there as well.
I'll share that in the recap too. So after this, I'll send out an email to everyone that's going to have a link to this recording in case you'd like to review anything. And I'll include contact information as well. So I'll have that in there. And then I also put a link to Work in Texas, to all the jobs that are currently listed in Work in Texas as well.
Great. Thank you so much. I know we may need to be updating it because we do have some offshore positions that are open on Work in Texas. So like I said, this offshore project, we are trying to man up for that project. So I know we need pipe fitters, painters. So some of those, I'll stay in contact with our workforce solutions ladies who are wonderful. Any kind of issues that we have when it comes to
gentlemen.
They're so very helpful to help us with getting those job postings up. So if we have to update something on a day-to-day basis, they're very good at getting back in contact with us and helping us with getting that position posted on Work in Texas, so that way we can get those applicants coming in. So yes, thank y'all. Thank you to the Workforce Solutions for helping us with our company, building it up and getting some people to find work. It's been really hard. But it's so rewarding, honestly, when you talk to people and they go, we get them scheduled in for testing, and I call them back and let them, hey, guess what? You passed. They're like so excited, that they pass, because we do get some candidates that are coming out of school, technical schools. They invested their time, their money with furthering their education and in a vocational school. So of course they may not have the work experience, but they've got all their certifications. They've already given us their certificates. they're just so anxious to get into that workforce. So whenever we have an applicant that's, coming from school, and they get the job, it's just so rewarding, and they're so excited, like, thank y'all so much for giving us an opportunity, and they're just really excited. So I'm very, like I said, that's rewarding for me, is because some people are nervous because they don't have that work experience when they go to school and get their certificate. So we try to give them that opportunity, because we don't want to discourage them. We want them to learn, even if they went in and they didn't pass the first time, we offer them time to go get some proof of training. If they go to a different facility and get some training, as long as they provide us with, documentation that they went in, they took the time to get some practice, then we can go back and we can retest them. So we give them a second chance to get the employment, to pass that test. So, and a lot of our candidates are very thankful for that, because some of them are like, we've talked to other companies and they don't want to give us an opportunity. And I feel like Jolie, should give those people an opportunity to come in and try to work. So, and we offer them, like I said, you go get your proof of training and we'll give you a second shot,
There you
so they're
go.
very
That's
happy. They're very happy with that we do give them an opportunity to go get proof of training if for some reason they don't pass it the first time. It's just a lot of these people who have come right straight out of schools, technical schools, they're nervous, obviously. So sometimes the second go around,
You do
they
much
have
better.
yeah, they do so much better, and that's very, it's very rewarding, that they find that work.
I can
Well,
take the stress off.
yeah,
Yes.
we got another question. How long is the offshore position? Is it a 60 or 90 days before they will be able to return to home? Is it every other week, or how's that work?
So in regards to the offshore project, now that's gonna depend, because there's a different schedule. Some go out for 10 days, or some are out on the rig for like 30 days and back home for 20. So that depends on what they're gonna actually when they're actually gonna start. And so I don't have an exact answer on that, because it just depends on our offshore client, how long they'll be out there. Most of the time, like I said, it's 2 weeks, and then they're back for a week. Excuse me, I'm gonna get a drink of water, okay?
Sure, sure. While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and ask you the next question. Uh, there's a gentleman here or lady with the CDLA, and they want to know if they have any positions. They have their TWIC, their tanker, the hazmat, the limited DOT verifiable experience, 20 years plus. He's a military or she's a military veteran, a 74 Delta chemical hazmat specialist. Do you have any positions for CDL?
At this moment, we do not have any positions for CDL. Like I said, it doesn't mean that later in the future that we're not going to need people who do have that certification with CDL. But as of today, unfortunately, we don't have that craft. We don't have any openings for CDL drivers right now.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yes,
So
sir.
there was a question I had when a person goes in and they put in for a job and maybe they just don't make that score. Uh, is it something in that checklist here, your spreadsheet, that you might call them back for another position that you think that they would do better on?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There are a lot of people who are multi-craft. They don't just do one craft. We can have pipe fitters that know how to weld, or they've done painting and blasting. So we do encounter people who have multi-crafts. So if for whatever reason, if they did not do well in the craft that we, had them go and test for, and then there's a different position for a scaffold builder, and they have that experience as a scaffold builder, now yeah, we'll definitely reconsider sending that person in for that particular craft, because they have that experience. So if they're multi-craft, we have multi-crafts. We hire multi-crafts. So that's what's good about Jolie Enterprise. If for whatever reason they fail in one particular craft, but they still have experience in other crafts, then we're gonna look into that and we're gonna try to find work in for them in that particular craft, what their main craft is. Definitely.
And Gina, that's
We've
one thing I
only,
really like about temp services.
Mhm.
They work real hard to get the person hired, working
Yes.
on their resume, working on their skill levels, testing them, those kind of things, because that they want them to go to work. So
Yes, sir.
if you're concerned out there about a temp service versus a regular job, most temp jobs turn into regular jobs down the road. But hey, this is a great way to get your foot in the door, to get some good work and get going.
yeah,
Yes.
that's great. And we've only got about 4 minutes, so we're gonna have to wrap up. Unfortunately, it's these 30 minutes always go by
Oh,
really fast.
it went
But
by
it
so fast.
did. But I wondered if you touched on kind of a couple of things. You mentioned some testing. I wondered if you could kind of outline for us how things go from the time that a job seeker, a job candidate is filling out an application. What happens next? So they get called for an interview. Is it an in-person? Is it over the phone? And then it sounds like there's some testing. So if you can kind of walk us through start to finish so that everyone knows what to expect.
Yes, ma'am. I can definitely go over that process. So most of the time when our candidates reach out to us, it's majority of the time, like I said, it's either on our website or it's via telephone. So I like to conduct a lot of my interviews over the phone. Um, I ask for resumes. If they're in the area, I ask them to come by the office to fill out an application. They can come in here and sit with me, and in person, we could go over that application. I could do the interview in person as well. So via phone or email, here in person at our office in the office, I will do their interviews. I'm very I can accommodate these people if they're really interested in work. Once we go over the screening process and see if this candidate is qualified, then we actually have to notify our client that we do have somebody that's qualified and interested in that position. Once we reach out to the client via email, we have to wait for the response for them to let us know that, okay, this person, he is qualified. So after we find out that he is cleared per se to go in and test, then that's when we move forward and schedule that particular candidate to go in and test on site with our client. So once they do that, of course, they're informed, if they do have to take tools with them, if they have to take their PPE. Obviously, all our crafts, they do have to take their own personal protective protection equipment with them for testing, and some of them do require tools. A client in Brownsville, they do actually request that the people who are going in for testing, that they do bring in their equipment for testing. Here in Ingleside, majority of the time, the client does provide those tools for them, so it may be maybe something different with the craft, like such as painters. They have to bring their own their respirator mask for testing. But of course, they're informed beforehand that, hey, these are the items that you will need to be, or these are the items that the company is going to provide for you for testing purposes. So
That's
we get them, yes. So then once we get them in there to go test, they'll go in, they'll do their testing. Our client is real good with communicating with us and letting us know how well they did in their testing. Once we get the notification that they passed, we move on and start getting them ready for orientation. We do pay orientation. We do offer per diem as well.
That's great. So from start to finish, can you give us like an approximate how long it takes for someone from time of application to being able to start in a position? Is it a couple of weeks, a month?
I would say within with our clients, I would say it's probably within 2 to 3 days. Because like I said, once we submit that information, after we do the screening process, interview process, either by phone, either online, or they come in person to apply, and we can interview them at that time. From that time frame, I would say it would take anywhere from 2 to 3 days for us to get a response from the client. So we can't move on forward with testing until our client reaches back out to us and let us know this candidate is good. Let's go ahead and get him scheduled for testing. So like I said, that takes, 3 to 4 days. Now with our offshore client, that does take, it takes a little bit longer. There's more, it's a more thorough background. They are required to have other certifications. Their water survival training has to be up to date. They have to have their TWIC card. So we have a list of those items that are required. If people are interested in offshore work, they have to have experience working offshore. But we can go over all the certifications that they have, and if they're still valid, then we can go ahead and move forward. That just seems to take a little bit longer because it's offshore. But the other clients, I would say from start to finish, 2 to 3 days. 2 to 3 days is a good number.
That's great. So it sounds like a very quick process.
Fast. It happens. The process starts really, really, really fast. So, and we do happen to have people that, staying, who have worked with us in the past, and if they happen to go to a different job opportunity out of state, they stay in contact with us and let us know, hey, look, I'm going to be back in the area. Then we'll schedule an appointment time for them to either come by the office, so that way we can get them scheduled in for testing.
That's great. Well, we have run out of time, so I just wanted to share just a couple of really quick reminders. And that would be that oh my goodness.
What happened?
I've clicked all kinds of things here. So sorry.
Okay.
But I just wanted to let everyone know that Hiring Red, White, and You is going to be on November 2nd. Jolie Enterprise is one of our featured employers. So if you didn't get a chance to answer your question right here today, you do have another opportunity. So please go visit with Jolie Enterprise. So our Hiring Red, White, and You is going to be at the American Bank Center and the Henry Garrett Ballroom. I always want to say Garnet, but it's Garrett Ballroom. So that's upstairs. So when you come in American Bank Center, you're going to go up the escalators and head into the room. We'll have lots of signs and people pointing you in the right direction, but please go visit Jennifer and her team. If you apply for one of those positions, please let Jennifer know that you've applied, and I will be sharing out contact information so that you can reach out to the human resources team with Jolie Enterprise and share your information out there. So Jennifer, thank you so much.
You're welcome. No, thank you. Thank you so much. We are looking forward to being there at that Red, White, and You job fair. So please, we encourage those that are interested in this type of work, come and visit us. We would be very happy to we'd like to talk to them, okay?
Yeah, since she's a featured employer, she's going to be at table 50 as you go in the door, the main doors after signing in. She's going to be just a little off to the right, facing you. So if you're inspired by Jolie Enterprises, now's the chance to get there. November the 2nd, table number 50.
Table 50. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Have a good one. All right. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for those of you that joined us earlier and are rejoining us. So I'm Gina with Texas Veterans Leadership Program, and I'm joined here with my co-host, Lenny. And the reason that you guys are here, we have Sergeant Scott here with Department of Public Safety, and he's going to talk to us about all the things. So Lenny, do you want to do a quick introduction, and then we'll move around and get started?
Of me? Yes, Workforce Solutions, business liaison. I work with the employers. I'm like the FBI, your father, your brother, your in-law. Try to help you get a job, okay? So let's throw it over to Scott because he's doing slightly better than I am today.
Mercy. Well, good afternoon. How are you? My name is Sergeant Scott Oth. I've been with the Texas Department of Public Safety for over 20 years now. Currently, I serve as a recruiter for the agency. I spent 13 years with the Highway Patrol before transferring over to the recruitment division. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have this afternoon.
Fantastic. So any questions that you have, type them in the Q&A right below, hit that button, type them in for us, and we'll get those answered. So I wondered if you could start us out with just telling us a little bit about what it's like working for DPS and maybe some of kind of the different positions.
Well, my role specifically is with the law enforcement side. Now, there's over 23 different divisions with the agency, not just law enforcement related. So we have everything from finance and IT, as well as positions for criminal analysts, as well as positions for communications and driver's license as well. Within the Highway Patrol, within the division that I recruit for, there's Highway Patrol, there's the Texas Rangers, obviously there's Criminal Investigative Division. We have an aircraft division. We have helicopters as well as fixed winged aircraft and drones, which is becoming a larger and larger portion of our agency. But we also have tactical marine units. We have canines. We have narcotics canines, as well as cadavers, as well as bomb sniffing canines, as well as search and rescue canines as well. So there's a variety of different ways that individuals can go within our agency. Everyone will spend 4 years in the Highway Patrol. The primary responsibilities for the Highway Patrol is obviously going to be traffic law enforcement and traffic investigations. But along with that will come criminal enforcement and criminal investigations as well. After you do 4 years in the Highway Patrol, you're free to test and board and go off into any of the divisions that we have within the agency.
I did not know there were so many divisions. That is really cool. So, and we've got a couple of questions already.
Yes, we do have a couple of questions. One is, I'm a 23-year-old, not 23-year-old, 23-year retired Marine veteran. Is there an age limit to apply?
No, there is no age limit. All you have to do is make the physical requirements as well as being mentally able to do the position. So we're one of the few agencies that are out there that does not have an age cutoff. So, and I would say after 23 years in the Marine Corps, first of all, thank you for your service, but you're not dead yet. And you're still, believe it or not. I appreciate your service. Good question.
In our last hour, listen to me. In our last 30 minutes, we had a gentleman or lady that was asking about the IT positions. I'm glad you brought that up. Can you tell us just a little bit more about that if they're still listening?
Well, our IT division actually is going to go into different areas. Of course, we have programmers as well as networking. Especially for our security networks. All the state computers, as you know, are all tied together. But then also we have two different directions that the individuals can go. On the law enforcement side, on the commissioned officer side, those individuals, after they do 4 years in the Highway Patrol, if that is something that they're interested in, then they can go off, transfer over to CID or Criminal Investigative Division, and then they can begin doing cyber crimes or cyber terrorism, jobs of that nature. They'll actually be handling the investigations themselves. But that also includes, we have a particular unit in CID that they always remind me of a James Bond movie, because these guys are the ones that are like putting the cameras into coffee makers and doing all kinds of bugs, tearing apart cell phones, and doing all kinds of stuff with them. So, we have a very unique unit within that division that actually handles all the tech side. On the non-law enforcement side, we have criminal analysts. They're going to be working with state, federal agencies, as well as the military, as well as the local agencies. All of our intel is shared together jointly. And so they would be working that side of the playing field to be able to assist the investigations that are happening on the commissioned officer side.
So I wondered, since we've had a couple of veterans already speak, and of course we've got veterans here, is there a priority system for employment? Like, are there priority preference points for someone who is a veteran when they apply for positions?
Well, for the veterans, there's not a priority. I will say that about 70% of our agency is prior service military. We do give veterans points, so there'll be 10 points added basically to every test that they take. In order to promote and change divisions in this agency, you're going to have to test. And so veterans, whenever they test, we get another 10 points added to our testing scores, which in this agency is, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but in this agency where everything is really competitive, everybody's just as smart as everybody else in this agency, those 10 points really kind of come to an advantage at a lot of times. Military veterans can also purchase back up to 5 years of their military service to go towards their state service. Now, if they're retired, obviously that won't happen. However, if they do 10 years or 15 years within the service, they can purchase back up to 5 years of that service time and apply it towards their state retirement time. Military veterans who have not used their GI Bill, they'll be able to utilize that GI Bill while they're in the academy and while they're on our FDO program, which is a 6-month program. So they'll be able to utilize up to a year's worth of GI Bill benefits.
That's fantastic. Such a huge benefit. And I just typed in, I shared the links for the DPS careers page because there's a lot of really good information on the careers page. And then I also just shared the job postings as well that are actually through CAPS/Taleo, which kind of leads me to my next question, is asking if DPS used a applicant tracking system, or an ATS system for short. And Taleo is one of those. So can you expand on that a little bit?
Correct. And we're actually utilizing CAPS, and so it is a tracking system. The application process for the law enforcement side is going to be a 6.5 month process to get through. So individuals, they need to make those minimum requirements: 21 years of age, either 2 years of college or 2 years of active military service with an honorable discharge, or 2 years as a law enforcement officer with another agency. Once they meet those requirements, and then they can go to our website and they can apply for the school that we are taking applications for. And currently, we're taking applications. We're taking applications for 2 different schools right now, but we're about to close one off, so we'll mention that one. But we are taking applications for a C 2024 school, which will start in August of next year. Now, they'll have to come in and they'll have to do testing. So they'll do a 1.5 mile run that will be based on age and gender. They'll also do a 500-meter sprint row on a Concept 2 rower, and that will also be based off of gender and age. Once that portion of the process is taken care of, if they successfully pass that, then they'll go to polygraph. That will be scheduled by Austin, and hopefully it'll get done here locally. Sometimes they're not for various reasons, but most of the time we'll get the polygraphs done here. Once they do the polygraph and they successfully get past that portion, file will be reviewed, and then it'll go into a background investigation. Our background investigations are outsourced. They're done by retired law enforcement officers, and they typically take about 2 months to be able to complete that background investigation. If everything goes well there, then at that point, they're invited to go down to Austin for more testing. So they'll do psych testing, they'll do a medical, they'll do an eye exam as well, and they'll do psychological. Sit down with one of our certified psychologists that are on board. When that is done, everything will be reviewed again, and then hopefully at that point, everything looks well, and then they're just waiting for the startup of the academy. It'll be approximately a month and a half out before the start of the academy when qualified applicants are notified that they've been recommended for the academy. Prior to the start of the academy, we will continue to work with them to get them prepared physically, as well as getting them ready for the academy, make sure they have all the gear that they need, as well as, visiting with their families and sharing contact information, how to get a hold of their loved ones while they're in the academy. The academy is in Austin. It is Monday through Friday. So it's, for the veterans, it's military boot camp all over again.
Mhm.
There's no
It's just like
ifs,
the recruitment process.
yeah, there is no ifs, ands, buts about it. It's just like that. And including the housing at the academy is barracks. So, for all the military guys, I hope you have not forgotten how to make a bunk, shine your boots, build a wall locker, all that kind of good stuff, because guess what? You're going to be doing it all over again. So, the only thing that will be different from that, from the military, is that we're going to spend about 4 hours a day doing physical work. So either in the gym for 2.5 hours, and then we'll be in another building doing fighting techniques for another 2.5 hours. So there's quite a bit of that. So that'll be going on every day for 6.5 months. So if you're not in really great shape, you will be when it's all over with. That's all I can say.
That's good.
It's a good program.
So there is a question here from Francisco Galvan. He asked, how long is that screening process? And I think you stated how long that would be. But he also went on to ask, how many academies do y'all conduct a year? Is that 2, 4, 3? What?
Typically, we're going to try to do 4 a year. Right now, we're running 3 a year. I'm not exactly sure what we're planning for 2025. I think it's going to be 4, but I think in 2024 we're going to run just 3 academies. Now, Austin can always surprise us and add another academy, but given that the C school will be starting in August, I don't foresee another academy in 2024.
Okay, and then we have another gentleman here, Mackenzie, and Mackenzie is a CDL driver, and they were wondering if they're driving positions or transportation type positions, CMV inspector.
They are. So you will need to go to our website, the joindps.com. At the top of that web page, you'll see a link there that says employment. You'll click that link and it'll take you to another website. Click job opportunities, and it'll take you to one more website. Once you get there, then you can just keyword search in the box what it is that you're looking for. But yes, I know that we have CMV inspector positions.
All right. Thank you so much.
And
that was a good
link
in there. Very many of those.
That's great. I just put the link in and I'm sorry, there's a little bit of a delay here. I don't talk over you, but we're getting a little bit of rain here. I think it's affecting it. So, but I did put the link to the job postings in that Q&A. So Mackenzie, I put that right there in in that question. So you should have that. And then it's also in the chat. And then I will send this too in the recap. So at the end of today, I'll send out an spotlight recap and I'll include those links so that everyone's got them as well. So I did want to touch just a little bit on that. So CAPS is an applicant tracking system. So you do want to make sure that your resume is formatted appropriately so that it gets scored appropriately. And I can share, I've got kind of a little bit of information in a handout, and then I've also got a template that I can share out with everyone so that you guys are set up for success on that. Because also I work for TWC, so we're also state employees. We use that same system. And so, yeah, I'm very familiar with that. So I'll send that to you guys so y'all are set up for success.
Now, the only thing that I will say about CAPS is that on the law enforcement side of it, you don't have to worry about attaching a resume. Part of the application process is about 144 pages of paperwork that you're going to have to fill out. That will be your resume. Now, for any of the other positions, for the non-commissioned positions, like the CMV inspector position, that you will need to attach a resume for. But on the law enforcement side of it, on the commissioned officer side of it, you don't have to worry about utilizing a resume.
That's nice. For all the additional stuff that you guys have to go through, at least you don't have to do a resume on top of it. So that's
It will end up being much deeper than a resume when it's all said and done.
sounds like it. So another question, during this time period when people are waiting for like the academy to start, where they're waiting for just all the different steps of the application process, is there something that from an employment perspective, like something that people can be doing while they're waiting on that, or are they kind of looking at would need to find other temporary employment while they're waiting for their academy to start?
No, that's a very good question, and I appreciate you asking that question. What we're going to do is that number one, they're going to be added to a workout group, and there will be daily workouts that are sent out to each of the applicants that have successfully made it into the application process past testing. So, yeah, and unfortunately, that also means the monkey's going to be on their back to actually do the workouts. They're going to be physically tested initially, and then once they get to the CJOs, once they get to the conditional drop off for testing in Austin, they're going to take that physical test again. And if they're accepted into the academy on day zero, the very first day of the academy, they're going to take that PT test again. So it behooves anybody that's applying, through the 6.5 month process, they need to be staying in shape physically. They do not want to get to the academy and not be ready to go physically. Now, mentally, there's only two reasons that people will quit the academy. It's either they're not going to be prepared physically, or they're not going to be prepared mentally for what this job involves. So during the application process, we're going to encourage people to come out and do ride-alongs with our troops. So that by the time they get to the academy, they know exactly what it is that they're getting into. And hopefully the thought behind that is that once we get them to the academy, they stay in the academy, they graduate from the academy, and then they're going to come out and they're going to do us a good job and stay.
That's great. Now, once someone is in the system, they've gone through the academy, now are they applying for a position in a certain specific area, or once they come out of academy, are they sent to different places throughout the state of Texas?
Okay. Again, that's another good question. So duty selection is going to be made during the academy itself. Okay. At some point in the academy, it was real close to the beginning, then they moved around to the middle, and then it was at the end, and I don't know where it is anymore. But at some point in the academy, they'll be presented with a list. That list is going to be made up of priority duty stations for the state. Okay. Happily, for us in this particular region, we are a priority. So I can tell you that anybody from the Corpus Christi district, so anybody from Falfurrias up to almost to Victoria and over to George West, anybody from that area and they want to come back to this area, we have 44 openings in this area alone. So it's going to be pretty easy for individuals to come back to this area. So what will end up happening is they'll make 6 choices off the list that's presented to them. Out of the 6, they're going to get one of those stations, okay? And that will be their duty station upon graduation. After they do 1 year with the agencies, so that'll be 6 months of FDO and 6 months of probation, then they'll be free to transfer to any place in the state that they want to that has an opening. As long as they don't get beat out by somebody senior to them, they're going to be fine. Now, having said that, we are at the beck and call of the governor. We are a state law enforcement agency. So anytime that the governor deems that we are needed, we are going to go. And that means we can go anywhere around the state at any point in time. So again, for the military guys, this should be familiar because we've all experienced that. The only thing that I will say about this agency is that when we do our hops, they're typically going to be about 2 weeks long. And we're going to get paid overtime on top of the overtime that we already earned. So we're going to get paid well for that. But I will say, and I will stress, that we are at the beck and call of the governor. And that means whatever the governor wants, we're going to get sent. And right now, that's a lot. Our guys are being scattered all throughout the state for various details that we've been asked to do.
And so for that first duty assignment, is there relocation paid for? So do they get relocation assistance or not for the first duty station, or how does that work?
So I've been with this agency for 21 years. I can tell you the only time that we had a paid move for a change in duty location is when we promote to sergeant. Once we promote to sergeant, then the department will pay for our move. That's it. That is it. And when I promoted, I was already in the place where I promoted, so I got nothing. But that's okay. That's all right.
You didn't get a voucher to use later or something?
No. It's, and it's never been brought up again, and I doubt that it ever will be.
Cute.
So maybe we're not so great on that. I know with the military, whenever we change duty stations, we're used to being able to do that, especially if we're coming from overseas back to the States. However, with this agency, it's just one paid move.
Okay. Well, we've got a few minutes here. We're just wrapping up. Does anyone else have any other questions? I don't see anything in the Q&A right now. You've done so good at answering all of these questions.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for your service. So a veteran plus 21 years. So
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And I will say this, that was one of the draws for me, myself, to personally come to this agency, was that it was so very similar to the military. It was not a hard transition at all. And we are very much run very similar to the military and a lot with what we do. So for military veterans, this is a nice home to come home to. We are very much a team. Anything that happens to any one of us, it happens to all of us, much like it was in the military. And that, I'm telling you right now, that by itself is a really good attraction to this agency. I will also say for military veterans, if they choose, if they come off active duty and they choose to remain with the National Guard or with the reserves, then this agency is going to allow up to 14 days of military leave to our military veterans, so that they're able to do their duties, as well as they're not going to have to use that leave unless they're doing 2 weeks of duty time. Whenever they're doing their monthly trainings, all we're going to do is just readjust our schedule so that our military vets can go and do that as well. And I'll also say that if our members are deployed and they're with our agency, I know there was a time back in the early 2000s when our guys initially were getting deployed over to Iraq and over to Afghanistan. There was a time there where Uncle Sam decided not to pay, and that created some hardships. But I will say that this agency actually went above and beyond when they found out that their employees were not getting paid by the military. This agency stepped up and paid them. And they got paid more than what they were getting with the Guard or Reserve duty. So it worked out really well. And I'm really proud that our agency was able to step up and do that. And I know that they'll do so again. So that's, again, for military veterans, I don't know of very many agencies that are going to be as military friendly as we are.
So we got
Yeah, that's great.
we got a couple of questions in the, if we got time for it, Gina.
Sure.
Francisco really wants to get in there. He says, is there any possibility of getting into the next academy? And what would that next academy be?
I mean, there is. I mean, we will be taking applications for that school until the 2nd of November. However, all the paperwork, it's got to be turned in. And trust me, there's a lot of it. But all the documents have got to be turned in prior to being scheduled for testing. And our last testing date for that academy is going to be on November 16th. So, Francisco, if you're a highly motivated individual, then I say get online and apply right now. And as soon as your application crosses my desk, I'll send out an email with the required documents. Fill those documents out, get them turned back into me as quickly as possible, and then we'll get you tested on the 16th of November.
Wow, you got it there. But it's all on you, Francisco. So we have a question here from that gentleman or lady that was, I guess it's a lady, Kimberly, that's looking for the IT position. Do you know if there are remote or on-site? Are they remote positions? Or are they at an office?
That question I cannot answer. You'll need to speak to one of our IT reps for that. However, if she will email me at my scott.auth@dps.texas.gov, if she will email me and have that question specifically in there, I'll move that email forward to one of our IT reps.
Well, thank you, Scott. Okay, Kimberly, it's on you. So, what if there's an older veteran that just graduated college as a mechanical engineer? I hope are you asking for mechanical engineer positions, or are you asking if you're able to join the Highway Patrol, the DPS? It's on you, caller. So, do y'all have mechanical engineer positions or
not really? That's going to be more along the lines of TxDOT. That website that Gina posted up there, that website's not only going to show you every position in our agency, that's going to show you every position in all the state agencies in Texas. So I believe there's 43 state agencies in Texas, and so yeah, it's a good one-stop shop for anybody that's interested in looking for other positions.
All right, Mr. Mechanical Engineer, congratulations on your recent graduation. And if you want to work for TxDOT or Texas in any way, just go to the website that's in the chat. Okay.
And I will say this for engineering students, I've got to tell you, about 99% of what we do is, it's behind the desk. It's behind. It's not what the public sees. The public sees us out there stopping cars, talking to people. They see that. What they don't see is the investigations. And I will tell you right now, if you're a mechanical engineer and you're interested in taking a position with that, those principles that are applied in mechanical engineering, guess what an investigation is? I mean, that's all you're doing. You're going to take something. Your job is to figure out what happened. So you're going to have to look at the totality of the circumstances, be able to take those circumstances and put together a puzzle. A lot like mechanical engineering. And the only reason I know that is because my father's a mechanical engineer, and guess what he does? That's over and over again. That's all he does.
So one last question here that we haven't addressed was how much is the pay for the highway patrol? Do y'all have a scheduled pay scale, Scott?
Yes, we do. I know you guys can't see what I'm looking at, but in the academy, they're looking to start off at $5,500 a month. Once they graduate from the academy, that'll bump up to $6,000 a month. And once they complete their first year with the agency, that'll actually bump up to a little over $7,000 a month. Excuse me, or $86,000 a year, plus retirement benefits, health benefits.
And overtime.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And overtime.
That will be built upon the overtime. Now, the salary schedule that's posted on our website, we're required to work a 10-hour workday. And so 2 hours of that shift is going to be overtime. That's something that's already built into the salary as part of the base. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, when we get deployed, that overtime is going to come from a completely different bucket.
Okay.
And I'm putting that link in the chat for the benefits and compensation. So I'll list that so people can take a look.
Outstanding. Thank
Really
you.
is a lot of wonderful information on that careers page, on that first careers page. There's a ton of information in there. So I'll share both with everyone.
There is, and I apologize. I was going to email you a copy of our RC22 and a salary schedule, and I'll do that as soon as I get offline here.
Sounds good. Yeah, because I'll send that out at the end of the day whenever I do the recap on the spotlights. As soon as that recording's available, it'll probably actually be first thing tomorrow morning. So yeah, okay. I'll share any resources you provide. So good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon again for those of you that have joined us earlier today. For those of you that are new joining us, I'm Gina with Texas Veterans Leadership Program. My co-host today is Lenny with Workforce Solutions. And the reason you guys are here, we have Kyle with Bay LTD. So Kyle, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah,
and what
sure.
you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate everybody dialing in today and spending a little bit of time with us. I'm Kyle Bushnell. I work for Bay LTD. My job is recruiting manager for Bay. I am pretty new here to Bay, though. I have not been here a long time. I joined back in June of this year, so I'm still kind of learning the ropes of the company, but really happy to be here. We're working on a lot of great stuff, and it's a really great company to represent. So thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. I see your vehicles everywhere all the time, especially if I drive into Portland, especially going into Portland, I see lots of them. So for everyone that is new to joining us here, there is a Q&A box right below. So this is your opportunity to ask questions. So any questions that you have, type those in the chat. Lenny and I will be monitoring that and asking those questions as they come up. So let us know what you would like to, what you'd like to know. So, Kyle, can you tell us a little bit more about kind of like what kind of positions that you're currently hiring for, maybe some of the work environment and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start just for anybody that's not familiar with Bay, just kind of at the high level, sort of what we do. And if you're in the Coastal Bend, yeah, you probably have seen our trucks out on the highway. That's kind of the face of the company, if you will. But we're a full service industrial and civil contractor for the most part. So we do industrial fabrication, construction, and maintenance. But we also have a large highway division, which does a lot of road work in the Coastal Bend, a lot of city utility work and things like that. And so we're spread across those business lines. What we typically hire for is we do any number of construction crafts. So we sort of pride ourselves on trying to be a direct employer. So we bring our own employees to the projects and jobs that we're awarded by our clients. And so with that, we hire across the full spectrum of crafts. So that could be welders, pipe fitters, boiler makers, iron workers, I&E, you name it. But we also do our own soft craft as well, so painters and things like that as well. So we kind of have the full suite of craft out there that we do in the field. In addition to that, we're supported by, and the projects are ran by, various levels of supervisory jobs as well. So we have foremen all the way up to superintendents to project managers as well. So we're heavy kind of in the project management space that we hire as well. The vast majority of our hiring is in the craft world. That's the folks that makes our projects go. And when you see a lot of Bay's job postings and that sort of thing, that's what's out there. The vast majority of our positions, actually all of our positions do hit our careers page. And so I don't know if anybody's got the chat there, but bayltd.com/careers will take you right to our job posting page. We post everything out there. Sometimes some of the jobs we're hiring a lot quicker than others. And so for those jobs where we're in urgent need of hiring, you'll often see us on social media trying to advertise those. So if you follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn from time to time, but Facebook primarily, we'll try to highlight jobs that we're really in need of hiring quickly and fastly for. But all the jobs that we do have open are posted out there on our site. And we also post across a number of the other third-party platforms like Indeed and LinkedIn and several other places as well. But they're all backed up by a job posting out on our career page. And so anybody that ventures out there can see what we've got out there at the moment.
I just put in the chat both the careers page as well as the job board link. So I listed those both in the web chat. So anyone that's on here, you can grab those links. And I'll share that also in the recap at the end of the day or first thing tomorrow morning. So I'll get that shared out. Can you tell me a little bit about like your application process? So when someone applies online, kind of how long does that take? And do they always hear back, or are they only going to hear back if they get selected? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so I'd say there's kind of two main ways to get your application in. One is you can apply to the job directly online. Those jobs, we have depending on which role it is, we've got a team of people that are looking after those job postings. We get notified by email every time somebody applies. Generally, if the position is open and we've got room for it and the person that applies meets the basic qualifications, you could expect to hear a call pretty quickly on some of those roles, so within a couple of days sometimes. If the role was recently closed out or we've got some people in process that we're trying to get hired but we're leaving the job posting open, it could be a little bit longer before we go back to that, but we're usually pretty fast about getting back to folks. And we have projects that start all the time, and so especially we're getting into the cooler months, we're getting into turnaround season in the plants and things like that, and so we have jobs that are starting and stopping at all moments, and so there's quite a few moving parts. And so when people apply online, we do our best to try to cycle back to people as quickly as we can. We don't always just disqualify people immediately, because we may, even though we didn't hire them for the reason that job originally went up, we might grab that application for the next job that comes down. And so we don't always send out the disqualification emails or you're not being considered emails, because we're probably hanging on to that application in the likelihood that another project could pop up where we need that. The other way that people get hired often with us, especially for our craft positions, is by applying in person. You can still come and apply in person at Bay. So we have our personnel office is located at 401 Corn Products Road in Corpus. You can show up there and you can fill out a paper application. You know, sometimes if you've got the right qualifications, you might walk out that day with a job, or you might hear something very quickly after that as well. So we do take pen and paper applications as well. We have a lot of walk-in candidates that visit us there. Those are the two primary paths to get your name in the door.
And was that address, was it 401 Corn Products Road? Did I get that right?
That's it, 401 Products Road, yep.
Okay, I'll put that in the chat as well, because I do know that I personally work with some veterans that want to apply in person, that pen and ink application. People still like to do that, so I'll include that as well.
Yeah, and the other benefit of doing it in person is you're likely to talk to a person there as well, so you're going to get the name of somebody that's going to help kind of get your application processed and that sort of stuff. And sometimes it's good to just make that personal connection. Whereas I know, you know, for job seekers, sometimes putting their application in online, it feels like sort of a black box. And I understand that. Being on the recruiting side, we don't intend for it to be that way, but I can understand why it feels that way a lot of times. So sometimes it's nice just to make the personal connection with somebody there face to face as well.
Great. And then do you guys use an applicant tracking system for your applications?
We have a bit of a homegrown system that we're using to track applicants. So we do store all of our digital applications, and we can go back and pull from any number of years. So when we have new positions show up or we're not getting enough applicants for a pool, we often will go look at the last time we had that job opening. We'll go pull down applicants that applied then and start making phone calls and trying to see if anybody is looking for work or interested in applying again. So we keep them in the background. We don't have one of the modern day applicant tracking systems that we're using, but it's on my wish list. So.
I think that actually is kind of appreciated in this area, though, because a lot of times we have people that they want that pen and paper application. They want to be able to show up, meet someone, shake their hand, turn in a resume or whatever it may be. So, and actually, someone just put in the Q&A or in the chat, yes, the personal touch. So I think that that's really appreciated. So, you know, maybe having the applicant tracking system is good to not have. One of the formal ones. So I think you're doing well in this area.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of benefits of doing it face to face, but we also get a lot of online applicants that we bring in as well. So it doesn't necessarily give you a leg up, but I agree. It's nice to put a face and a name to an application sometimes. So appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I think we got our first question in there. Lenny, do you want to grab that question?
Let me snag it. All right. I've applied for Bay and was told that when the PO gets approved, that
PO. I bet that's PO.
I'm sorry. Yeah, when the PO gets approved, if it was capitalized, it'd make more sense. When the PO gets approved, that I will get hired. What exactly is a PO? And that's a purchase order, correct?
Yeah, that's a purchase order. Yeah, not sure exactly what position that might have been, but I'm happy if we want to try to grab contact information, I can maybe reach out offline and look into it a little bit. But that would typically be a purchase order, but not sure exactly what role it was.
Okay.
Absolutely, I'll get that information to you after the fact. And I'm sorry I didn't preview that question first. So I'll get that sent over to you, Kyle, so that you guys can get connected there and get some answers on that. So let's see. I kind of lost my place here. Oh, how are interviews conducted? I know that you talked about when people show up in person, a lot of times they're able to get an in-person interview, but do you sometimes do a phone call first or virtual? It seems like we're in this world where interviews are conducted in a myriad of ways.
Yeah, so I'll bucket our roles into a couple of buckets because we handle them a bit differently for different types of roles. So for our craft roles, most of the time there is not a formal interview. What we'll do is we look at applicants, we look at their qualifications, and we try to be very, very good about being honest about our requirements and when we put a job posting out there. So if it says you need a certain certification, that's because that's what we're going to look for when we get the application. If it says a certain level of experience, it's because we're honestly looking for that level of experience based on the jobs that we're hiring for at the moment. So we try to be honest about that. And so for those that meet the requirements, and we've got the need for, we will oftentimes, we won't do a formal interview, but most of our crafts do require a craft test, either written or hands-on craft test. And so folks that have been around the industry a while are probably pretty familiar with that process. So many of our positions do require that. For other roles that are not crafts, so this would be supervisory positions, project managers, foremen, superintendents, oftentimes we do an interview process. If the person is in town or near town, near the job site or near the Corpus Christi area, we'll often try to do those face-to-face. We like doing face-to-face. I think there's a lot of value in meeting somebody across the table and having a conversation with them. But oftentimes, we get candidates that aren't from the Corpus area, or it's hard to get here on short notice. And so we've hosted a number of Teams or phone call interviews and things like that. We're pretty adaptable. We try to do what's best and not overcomplicate the life of the candidate. But for some of the roles that do require an interview, we do our best to try to get them face-to-face when we can, but we'll do them over the phone as well.
That's great. It's good to have that flexibility because I know that you guys have several different locations. So with this being turnaround season, if there is a period, we all know that a lot of times in the trades, it can be kind of ebbs and flows. So if there is a layoff in one area, do they get like a priority maybe to other locations, or kind of how is that handled? Are they on kind of like standby list to call people back up quickly whenever things become back available?
Yeah, short answer is yes. We always try to go back to folks that have worked with us before, that we have a history with, to bring back on. If timelines work out, sometimes we can shift folks from one project to another. If they're able to do that, we're able to move folks around a little bit. But certainly if folks are in between projects or things like that, we try to keep a good roster of people that have worked for us before, that have demonstrated their capability with us, and try to get them set up for the next project. So those are some of the first folks we start calling when we've got new project work show up.
And I have seen you guys do that. That's why I asked that question, because I have totally seen you guys do that, which is wonderful, because when you're able to just shift someone into another position, it really does, it takes a lot of anxiety off of a person when they're applying for a position and they're like, oh, well, I don't know if it's going to be long-term work. But if you can get shifted into another position, it just, the added job security really can just kind of put the stress away. So that's really nice. So.
Because we do try to do the vast majority of our work direct hire. We've got a lot of stuff available, and we often see folks that are either multi-craft or they've done similar work in other areas in the past, and we've had some success placing people into adjacent crafts and things like that, if it works out and the right positions are open, to get them kind of held over until something else pops up in their main craft.
That's great. I'm sorry, my internet, I just got that message where it says connection unstable, so I kind of missed you there for a second. So another question, and you kind of touched on this just a little bit, but if a person applies for a job, a specific position, and let's say that one, there just ends up being someone else who may be better qualified, does that mean they just shouldn't apply for any more jobs with Bay, or can they apply for other positions, and would they still be considered for something else even if they weren't selected for the one they applied for?
Yeah, no, they absolutely should apply for other positions and keep applying, if you will. We do keep applicants on file, but we do get a lot of them, and so sometimes getting your name refreshed at the top in a new position, helps us, take another look at the application. For those that do come and do the in-person, I think we actually put we put 2 areas on there that they can list as positions that they're interested in, so they can list 2 different crafts that maybe they're interested in, so we can look at them for multiple crafts in those situations. But just not getting one job does not mean you're disqualified from future ones. We'd love for people to keep applying, and I know sometimes that can be a headache. We try to keep our application really short, or we don't have a long, complicated application where you have to put in your work history 5 or 6 times or anything like that. We try to keep it as short as we can, where we can still collect enough data to look at. So hopefully it's not too cumbersome when people have to go through that. But no, absolutely, we would love for people to keep applying to other roles. If they see the job pop back up, apply again. You know, it might just be that another project came through and we're looking for that same skill set again.
That's great. So if someone is showing up with a resume, what kind of specific things are you looking for, or kind of like what advice do you have for job seekers? Like, what are you wanting to see on an application or on a resume whenever they come to you?
Yeah, I mean, certifications, absolutely, especially for the jobs that require it. I mean, that's one of the things that we, you know, when you do your quick scans of resumes and applications, you're looking for certain things. And so certifications and schooling and that sort of stuff is always important to make sure you get on there. But also just listing an accurate list of work history and similar roles that you've done or roles that you've done in industry. It helps us out a ton, just so we have a good view of the type of person that you are and the background that you have. And that really helps us kind of go through that quickly. You know, if we don't get a resume or we don't have a full copy, we spend a lot of time contacting candidates, asking for, hey, can you get me a list of who you've worked for, what type of roles you filled, and that sort of thing. And that certainly takes a lot of time, and we're happy to do that. But if we've got it right up front, it just makes our whole application process that much smoother.
Yeah, that's really good advice. That's one of the things that we work with our veteran candidates that we work with on employment services, is to make sure we have that good work history on a resume. So even if they're not submitting a resume directly, they can at least copy and paste it from their resume into an application. So that's
Yep.
really good advice.
So, Kyle, I know that some companies are able to hire people with backgrounds that are second chance type workers. Do y'all hire second chance folks, people with the background, or is that depending on the background and how recent and all that? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Lenny, I can't give a black and white answer to that. I would say it all depends. So the answer is that we can, in the right circumstances. Because we are a contractor, a lot of time the requirements for what we can and can't accept in terms of background and all those sorts of things is dictated a lot of times by our client. And so we have different requirements on different job sites based on, you know, the client that's hired us to do the work. And so it really does depend on the role, which area it's going to be in, and which project it'd be dedicated to. We will consider it for certain positions, though.
Thank you.
That's great. So basically, people should not be discouraged. If they're just as involved and have that background, they should not be discouraged from applying for positions.
And
Yeah,
that's
and
really
a no isn't necessarily a no. It's like, no, maybe not at this site, you know. Keep
Yeah.
trying. It's a possibility something else will come up with a more looser criteria.
That's correct.
So we've got a few more minutes here before we wrap up. What kind of information, you know, anything that we haven't covered, what would you like to share with any of our candidates that are listening?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, again, as I mentioned, I'm a short timer here at Bay, but in my few months here, you know, it really is a great company. For those that are dialing in from around the Coastal Bend area, hopefully you know the Bay name a little bit. It's got a reputation. Company's been around for, I think next year will be 70 years of operation, and so company's been around a really long time, which means that, you know, we've been doing something right, and we may not do everything perfectly, but we've been doing something right, both on the business front, but also as an employer for many folks in the Coastal Bend area and outside the Coastal Bend as well. You know, I think folks that end up hiring on here will find that it's a really good atmosphere to work in. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to work on some really cool projects. We do some really neat stuff. And so if that's the kind of thing you like to do, working on big, you know, mega projects across the spectrum of craft, you know, Bay's an awesome place to come in and join.
Okay.
That's great. And I just got some additional information on that previous question, so I'll email you that information as well on that follow-up for other job candidate.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I just want to let everyone know. So, do you know what booth or can you direct people where
Yes,
they're going
let
to
me-
be located at Hiring Red, White, and You? Because on November 2nd is our big event. And oops, my screen's doing all kinds of weird things here. So our big event is on November 2nd, and I'll share that registration link for people, and Lenny's going to direct you so that you can get to the booth to talk to Kyle and his team. So if you have a question that you didn't come up with today, you have time to ask him in about a week.
So,
right.
Bay LTD, we appreciate you being here.
Yes.
Because you did this, you get quality placement. So as you walk in the main doors, you're straight across of it. It's table 86, but you're facing that front door. So when they come in, if you can make that eye contact with them, you'll bring them all and hire them all right there in the front, and not allow anybody else to get any. Just kidding. So yeah, number 86, you're straight across from the main door. Okay.
Oh, great. I appreciate that prime placement, and I look forward to meeting anyone that does come to the event. We will be there. We'll have a team out at the event, and we're really looking forward to it.
Great. Thank you so much again, Kyle. We really appreciate it. And I just shared that link. I will send out all the links to your careers page, to your job board. I'll get that sent out at the recap. And if there's anything else that you would like to share with all of those that registered and that attended today, you can send that over to me and I'll make sure it gets out.
All right.
That sounds great. Thank you guys for pulling this together, and thanks for all that you do.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, again, and good afternoon for those of you that may be new and joining us. So I'm Gina with Texas Veterans Leadership Program, and I'm joined here with my co-host Lenny with Workforce Solutions and Stephanie with Brand Safeway. The whole reason that we're here is to learn more about what you have to offer. So Stephanie, would you like to introduce yourself and your company and tell us what kind of positions you're hiring for?
My name is Stephanie Leva. I'm actually the one that leads the hiring center here in Corpus Christi. We do hire for scaffold and insulation. Our needs right now is actually for Oxy, Flint Hills, Valero, Formosa, Exxon, and some for Boeing. Boeing is actually in San Antonio, but we still hire for them. It's the surrounding areas that we do as well. Formosa's in Port Lavaca. Oxy is actually in Ingleside, and then Exxon is actually in Portland. Flint Hills and Valero are here in Corpus. The majority of the hiring that we're doing right now is actually for scaffold. We do have a large quantity that we actually need for scaffold, anywhere from foremans to leadmans to carps to helpers, and that's basically what we have. We also have open spots for insulators and middleman. We do offer for our employees, we do offer benefits, so that's actually a little plus right there. We do offer the benefits of actually being able to get on the medical division and dental plans for them, and also offering the time off, even though they don't do the PTOs, but they do allow the time off. So that's just basically
That's
a little
great.
breakdown of that.
And I posted in the chat, I posted your careers page because there's a lot of really good information on that careers page that kind of talks a little bit more about kind of the work culture, benefits. And then I also listed the second link, which will take you directly to the job board. So I listed that as well for everyone that's online. Can you tell us a little bit about your application process, like kind of what that looks like from the time of a job seeker putting in an application to maybe like that first phone call and starting to interview, and
So
if
the
there's
application-
testing?
Yes, ma'am. For the application, we do have a process that they can actually do the application online. They can apply in Indeed. They can apply in Texas Workforce,
Work in
.com.
Texas.
Yeah, there you go. Work in Texas. There you go. And thanks, Lenny. And then also we do also do the Facebook that you can also get in contact with somebody, with one of the recruiters from Facebook, and they'll reach out to you. We do have a QR code that we send off that you can actually link into that, so that way you can apply online. After that, we do ask for y'all to come into the actual facility, so that way we can go ahead and do the onboarding. Onboarding consists of the application. We do put you on a kiosk, and then after that, we actually do branch orientation, and then safety council and drug screen.
That's great. And I'll list the link to Work in Texas, to all of your job postings that are listed on Work in Texas. I'll put that in the chat as well, because if you're one of the job seekers that already has a profile on Work in Texas, it makes that, you know, submitting your application a whole lot faster. And that's great to know that you guys also have Facebook, because sometimes that's a little bit more mobile friendly for anybody that may not have a home computer. So that's wonderful.
The Indeed, actually, we've never used Indeed before, but it's actually getting a lot of hits. We've gotten a lot of people that have gone in there and actually applied in Indeed.com too. So
great. And I'm just posting that link right now for Work in Texas. So that's been added to the chat. So if you all look at your chat, you can see the link in there, and it's a long link, but you can click on it and then save it, because there are a lot of jobs. And of course, I did not filter that list by location, but with all the different locations available, that is one of the things that you can go back and you can filter that list. So, and then with a lot of your jobs being in the trades, are there different, you said people do need to come in, so they have the orientation. I'm assuming that's where like some of the testing and stuff comes into play.
correct. And that's actually branch orientation that we have to have before anybody hits job site. And that's aside the orientations that you have to do at Safety Council. So those are two different orientations that we have to get done before anybody actually hits job site. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. So I know from past experience with you guys that y'all do have a second chance capabilities on some jobs. Can you talk about that a little bit?
With those jobs, we do have the second chance, which doesn't actually require a TWIC. Basically requires just the drug screen. And some of them require a background and some of them don't. It's just depending on what site we have. We do have the paint yard that sometimes they do hire. The paint yard actually consists of just paint. He gives them the good opportunity to actually go in there, apply. If they start off as a helper, he gives them a chance to actually grow within the facility. So and then of course we do have Exxon doesn't require a TWIC, but it does require a background. So that's basically the only opportunity. Sometimes there's some jobs that come about here at the yard, sometimes that they need yard hands. That one doesn't require a background. That's basically just your drug screen and then your orientation.
That's good. Good.
Yeah, and I forgot to say this earlier, but anyone who has just joined us, there is a Q&A button just kind of right below, and just tap that Q&A. You can type in any questions that you have for Stephanie. That's why you guys are here. That's why we do this, is so you can get those questions asked and we can get some answers for you. So Stephanie, for your interviews, just to kind of get a little more information on that, are they always in person, or do you sometimes do kind of like a pre-screening interview over the phone, or are they sometimes done on Teams?
We do pre-screening interviews. We do just the phone calls. If it gets to that point to where, you know, they're not able to come in, we actually do just a phone call. And then whenever they come in, we do a face-to-face interview, and also the testing that they do on the computer, just to see what kind of knowledge they have, which helps out a lot more than just sometimes the face-to-face is not as more detailed as it is whenever you do the testing online. So it's through different crafts. And the test just basically tells us the knowledge level that you are at. So that way we can determine at the end, so that way we can see where we're going to be able to place you.
Testing anxiety. I'm one of those someones that tends to get a little testing anxiety. So if someone takes the test and maybe they don't score as high as they know they're capable of doing, is there an opportunity to test again, or kind of what does that look like?
That, well, you see, the interview is also a part of that. So the interview itself, and then what they score, we combine that. The job history also, all of that comes into play. We don't just determine based on the testing, but it helps us determine where we can place them at. So that way we can give them the best placing that we could offer for them. So what we try to do is not place them somewhere where it's not gonna be beneficial for them. We want everybody to go to job site and go home safely to their families. So we try to take all of that into consideration. We don't want to just place you and then you're not capable of doing the job. So we try to actually take everything into play: your job, your history, the interview face to face, and also your scoring.
That's great.
Okay.
Looking to see if we had any questions pop in that chat. I haven't seen anything yet. What else would you like to share with us, Stephanie? What is some good advice for some of our job seekers? What do you want to see on an application or on their resume?
It just depends on what we have a lot of people that come in that are freshly out of school. They really don't know what they want to do. They want to they want to make sure to understand the whole concept of getting a job at the refineries. They know it's good money. They know it's good pay, but at the same time, they're not really understanding what it all consists of. So we don't mind them coming in and chit-chatting with us, putting their application in, because sometimes what it is that there's somebody out there that's willing to take them under their wings to show them what it consists of. Well, we take pride in actually bringing in people like that, because that'll help us grow within. That'll help us know we brought them in as helper, and then can climb up the ladder. There's positions that are available for everybody. It's just on how you want to take it. Say, for instance, if you say, oh, you know what, I have experience, but I don't feel like I'm capable of being a lead man, but I'm capable of being a builder. So with that being said, we give them that opportunity. If the position's available, we give them that opportunity. We just want them to understand that if it's a new industry to them, we're able to actually help them grow within. If they're not, then they're kind of scared. Well, no, but there's always somebody out there that's willing to help them and guide them. And that's the good part about everything. That's what it all consists of. With me, it's like everybody has an opportunity, and it doesn't matter if you've never been in it, but at the same time, I want them to feel comfortable in what they're deciding on coming in as, and what we're considering and placing them to. So I take pride of what I do, and it's like I tell everybody, there's nobody that can't say, Miss, I can't do it, because everybody's willing to try it. Everybody, even if it's scaffold, even if it's paint, insulation, there's always an opportunity for people. It's just sometimes they feel like, well, I don't know this, Miss, but at the same time, we give them that kind of platform to understand that they're able to come in and actually try it out. It's not for everybody, but at least there's the opportunities there.
Yeah, that's great. I know a lot of times when we're working with transitioning service members, it's kind of like, they're finishing one career and then, well, what do I want to do next? And then we also have, I just spoke to a veteran last week that he's wanting to change careers, but he wants to work in refineries, but isn't sure what exactly he wants to do and doesn't quite have that experience yet. So it's really nice to know that, he can come, visit, apply, apply for different positions and start somewhere, and then, you know, to be able to work your way up is wonderful. And I know, well, Lenny and I are both Air Force veterans, but one of the things that we were taught, and I think it's pretty consistent across all the branches, is to always look 2 ranks ahead. And when you're in the military, you know what those 2 ranks ahead looks like. But when you go into the civilian side of the house, it's like, well, what does that 2 ranks ahead look like? You know, what does my career path look like? So it's really nice that you guys have people that can kind of, you know, teach you along the way and let you know, like, this, you know, this is where you can promote to this position and this is where you can grow. So that's really nice to hear.
And I really enjoy the fact that there's a lot of growth, that you can grow as much as you want. It's all within you. And that's what I tell everybody. It's like, you can start as a helper, and then by the time you know it, you're already a cart, an apprentice. And then after that, you become a builder. And then after that, a lead man. So, I mean, there's always room to grow, but it's all within yourself. It's whether or not it's for you or whether or not it's not for you.
That's great. So then, to speak to some of those that are maybe not in the entry level, but they have experience, you all have positions for like mid-level experience and higher, correct? There's kind of a differentiation of.
Correct. Like, say for instance, there's a lot of people that come in as well. Well, I'm a lead man and I'm ready to become a foreman type. So if that's the case, then the opportunity is there. We actually ask for a resume just so that way it goes a little bit more deep into the job histories that they've had. And just so that way we know, and we can actually, what I like to do with those, I like to actually move it forward. The resume gets in place. I push it forward to the site manager so that way they're aware of the history, because he's coming in as a foreman or she's coming in as a foreman. So the foreman spots are, I take a little bit more, how can I say, a little bit more time with that, because you're going into a higher position. That higher position means a lot more responsibility. That means we have to make sure that they're ready for that spot. But yes, ma'am, there's always room for them to grow, and no matter which way we look at it, even if you're starting off at the bottom or if you're in the middle.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of times some of those middle to higher level management positions, they're hiring from within. And so it's hard to step into a position, you know, with a new company. So that's wonderful that there is an opportunity there.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, we have gyms that are out there. We have gyms that are out there in the job sites that we're not aware of. So the opportunity is out there as well, but we also give the opportunity for those that come in.
So, all right. Well, you're doing really good. Now you had the gentleman who's gonna be at the Red White News. He's still around?
Now he's already gone. 4:30 is cat.
Oh, is that right?
We should have gotten him in early.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's
we
black
should have.
streaks
I didn't
on the
catch him
floor
in
there.
time.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Whoops.
I just want to say that I've been working with Stephanie and her team for a while, and they really do a good job. And you know, everybody, when you're a kid, you want to work at the mall, right? That's where all the kids are hanging, so that's where you want to be. And as the oil field workers go, they all want to work at a refinery. This is the best way into a refinery. These people have the jobs that nobody else is offering. So if you're interested in going into the refinery, get your foot in the door, work with a good company like Brand Safway, and you'll see the difference. We've been at hiring events where you hired 30, 40 people. Is that not true?
Yep.
See,
it.
so
Yes,
she can't
sir.
hire you on the spot because you got to go take that test, you know, or so that way you're allowed on the site. But she can get you that offer to tell you, hey, if you can pass this, we're in good shape. So
Correct.
Do you all plan on taking applications and doing like pre-screening interviews at Hiring Red White New?
Yes, ma'am, we are. He's actually taking paper applications, or we're having the QR code that they can scan. That way they can do their applications there as well. And then he's also going to have his laptop there so he can actually check whoever's applying. That way, if they're rehireable, we already know we can rehire them back. and then we'll hire those on the spot. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Fantastic.
We'll have computers, we'll have a bank of computers there, possibly 12, for people to do online applications. We'll have tables behind where you're sitting. There's actually a round table there for paper applications. So we'll do everything that we can to get the opportunity to be a Brand Safeway employee. It looks like we have a question from Mr. Aaron McKenzie over here. Do y'all hire CDL positions?
At the moment, we don't have any open positions, but we do, sometimes we do need CDL positions. Yes, sir, for the truck drivers.
Okay.
It would be great to go ahead and apply. How long do you all keep applications on hand so that if something opens up, then you can reach out to people who have already submitted?
With the CDL drivers, we actually keep them for 2 months, just because we don't hire very often on for the CDL drivers. So it's kind of like, well, it's very hard for us to actually say we hold them for 1 or 2 weeks. So we try to expand it for a little bit longer, so that way we can keep it on standby in case we do have positions available.
That's great. So what have you seen anything in your time in doing this, maybe any advice for our job seekers who are tuned in, that some do's or don'ts, some things that you like to see, or maybe some things that you have seen to try to prevent anyone else from making one of those mistakes or that kind of thing? Do you have advice that direction?
Just be honest. Actually, you know, that's basically where we're at. All we want is for you to be honest. I want to make sure that if we hire you, I want to make sure you go home safely. That's it. I mean, I'm not asking for anything else, but just to be honest, because I mean, in all reality, you can come in here, you can tell me, I've been building scaffolds for 15 years, and I put you on the computer and oh, well, you know what? I got answers from somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I want them to be honest with me and not me just go by the testing, me by the interview, and he already knows what to say, or she already knows what to say. And that's the biggest thing right there, because we could easily, have people that come in here and somebody has already referred them, so they already know what it consists of. And I'm not trying to put up anybody for failure. I want everybody to actually succeed, to be able to say, I'm going to job site and I feel comfortable where I'm at because I know that I did it on myself. I did it for myself, and I already know that this is the outcome of it. That's all I ask for, is honesty. I mean, we're in it to help you. We're not in it to put you or set you up for failure.
There you go. And I witnessed that firsthand. There was a young gentleman who didn't really want to go to the urinalysis test, and Stephanie asked him, "Hey, look, you know, just be honest with me. Are you going to pass this or not?" And he goes, "Well, probably not." She goes, "Okay, I won't put you in for that job. Let's see if we have something else that doesn't require that." And honesty is the best policy. I don't care how you shake it. You might get away with it this time, you know, but that doesn't mean it's going to be like that every time. So that's a good point, and that's to everybody out there. Anytime you're going in, you know, go ahead and put all your chips on the table and go ahead and go all in, and you'll see that you'll get a different response from just about everybody.
And with that, Mr. Lenny, it's like I told the young gentleman, it's like, Mijo, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to put you up for failure. I'm here to help you get a job, and just be honest with me, be open and honest. And that's basically the way I carry myself here. Is I'm not here to judge you, but I'm here to put you to work, so that way you can make your money and you can put food on the table for your family and go home safely.
Yeah, that's such good advice. I sometimes work with job seekers who are just as involved, and that is one of the best pieces of advice, is just to have that honesty, because when they share what it was, it just shows that honesty, and that, you know, everybody's got a background. Everybody has a history. Everybody has things they're proud of and not. And so when that's shared and you overcome that, then it just allows us to be able to better help and to get you into a position for success. So, and like you said earlier, just ultimately, you know, wanting everyone to be able to be safe and to go home to their families and to be able to go, you know, go home safe at night. So that's wonderful advice.
Yep. Just about everybody's got a background. I mean, and some of us were lucky and didn't get caught, you know.
I hear you. I hear you.
So,
Well, we've got a few minutes as we wrap up here. Does anybody else have any questions? Type those in the chat, get those in there so we can catch Stephanie before we wrap up here. Stephanie, is there anything we haven't covered? Anything you'd like to share?
The only thing I would like to share is like I said earlier, everybody has an opportunity. We don't close the doors to anybody. So we try our best, you know, to get everybody placed as best as we can. And just so that way they can make sure to understand that just because it's scaffold, it doesn't necessarily mean that's all we have. We have scaffold, we have paint, we have insulation, and there's sometimes that we need fireproofers, you know, or fire watch. There's a variety of things that come up as the jobs come up, and when the jobs are available, you know, that's what we actually screen for. But at the same time, when they walk into this door, we try not to let them go, and we try to place them. We try to give them a home, and that's basically what we try to do. You know, you came into the door. We would like to place you somewhere that you're going to be comfortable, and like at the end of the day, just make sure you go home safely.
there you go. So going off that scaffolding, that I've had several companies say, you get me a good scaffolder and I'll hire them every time, because they've got skills and they know what they're doing, and they've got attention to detail where others don't. So if it's a scaffolder out there, I'll hire them every time. Now, it might not be doing scaffolding, but they're willing to give them a shot because of that training that they have. So this is a good door in, again, getting into those refineries, the mall of our high school years, the epitome of working in the oil field, the top of the crop. So
Great.
you want to
Well,
tell us about Red, White, and UB as we go out?
Yes. So one more reminder. So hiring Red, White, and U is Thursday, November 2nd. So that's a week from this Thursday. Opening ceremony starts at 8:45, and there's a wonderful plan for opening ceremony. So I encourage you to be there. It's going to be great. 9 a.m. is when the doors open for veteran priority entrance, to be able to see all the employers first. So you've got an hour, all of our veterans, and that's at the American Bank Center. It's upstairs in the Henry Garrett Ballroom. So we're back in the American Bank Center, and I'll share that registration link. So if you haven't already registered for hiring Red, White, and U, I encourage you to do that now, because that's going to save you some time when you get there. So when you get there, you'll be able to just check in. They'll mark your name off as you're here, you showed up, ready to meet some employers, and you won't have to take that time to register. And Lenny, can you tell us where Stephanie, well, I guess Stephanie, you're not going to be there, but where Brand Safway is going to be, give us some direction so that if you have questions that come up, if you have an application you'd like to turn in, you can do that on the day of the event.
Yes, as soon as you go in the door, you're going to see the guy from Bay. Look to the left, and there'll be Stephanie's team with Brand Safway. So, you know, that right in the door. You know, Gina, we appreciate these employers taking a real good hour out of their time, you know, and so we're rewarding them with key spots, you know.
Yes.
So everyone that's on there, they're going to be right up in front. We probably put movie star or something underneath it to bring them up. But hey, thanks y'all so much for everything y'all do.
Yes, and I greatly appreciate the time and the effort that y'all put onto this too, because to be honest with you, I've never I've never done one of these, so but it's great. It's a great way to actually get on the platform, be able to speak and be able to offer what we have available at the time. So I appreciate it. Thanks for thinking about us, Ms. Gina and Ms.
Yes.
Lanny. I do appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks for being one of our featured employers. So
Yes.
so glad you can do this because we know how busy you are.
Yeah. Yeah, Ms. Gina
Thank you
knows
very
by
much.
hand firsthand.
You did fantastic. So, for any of you that want to stick around, our next and last session is just going to be, we're here to answer your questions about hiring Red, White, and You specifically. So Lenny and I are going to field any of those questions. So if you need help getting prepared, if you need help with a resume, where to get assistance with that, we do have a workshop tomorrow with Texas Veterans Commission. So they're running a workshop tomorrow. I'm going to help out with that on how to successfully work a career fair, everything from how to dress, how to present yourself, how to speak to employers. We're also going to have some interviewing skills. So for if Stephanie's team wants to interview you, we're going to help you be polished and be ready to talk to them. Also gives you an opportunity to kind of like, knock off the cobwebs if you need to, or shake off the stress. So that's going to be tomorrow. I'll share those details. But Stephanie, I don't see any other questions, so we don't have to keep you because I know you're busy. And anyone else that wants to stick around, Lenny and I are here to answer questions.
I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Well,
You have a
We'll
good
see
evening.
ya.
Okay. bye-bye.
thanks.
So we're going
Okay,
right
so-
into that.
Yeah, we'll just go right into that. So,
So I've got a list of all the employers, and some of the key people I can run off real quick. So of course there'll be security jobs with AA Security, Nueces County, CCISD Police, CC Police Department, MetroCom, the Robstown. I mean, there's a lot of different. If you're into security, you'll see Scott there with DPS. You'll see DEA. I mean, there's if that's your world, there's plenty of players there. You got a question? I'm sorry, Gina.
I just wanted to add something. So we have done this before in the past. You mentioned AAY security. So in the past, we have had veterans that were waiting for police academy, whether it be with CCPD or CCISD, waiting for border patrol, waiting for some of these positions that there's a
take
long
6 months.
background check.
Yeah.
Yes. And so AAY security, we have worked with them in the past and also Allied Security, we've worked with them in the past. They, a lot of times, they have these positions that are sometimes temporary, or it's something, with Border Patrol, some of their employment opportunities, they take a long time before you're able to actually get going. And so these are some of those other security agencies that you can work for temporarily while you're waiting. We've also had, so CCPD is a wonderful employer, and we've worked with them where sometimes while you're waiting for an academy, they have had different positions like with MetroCom or Metro 911, MetroCom, what do they call
Yes,
it, Lenny?
MetroCom.
Yeah, so sometimes they have positions there. Sometimes they have other positions that you can take while you're waiting on that academy for CCPD. So we know these things kind of take some time. And so these are some other positions that you can take into consideration, apply for something else also while you're waiting to start.
Right. And going on, we have Corpus Christi is going to be there in full force. They have 8 different tables. So anything, if you want to work for the city of Corpus Christi, they're, like I said, they're going to be there in full force. We have the CC Regional Transit. If you are an Army truck driver, bus driver, that's a good job to roll into. They get paid very well and they get treated very well. So that's a great job. And And when you get out of that bus in the afternoon, you leave it there. You're not taking all of that home with you. The bus is the end of it, right? So, and then we have
And
some
they're
big,
hiring CDL drivers.
yes, there you go, the
So
CDL
for-
drivers.
Yep, for our CDL driver, they're hiring. Mhm.
Yes. And so the big hitters in the group, we got Bay Limited, of course, they were online just a second ago, Gulfstream Marine, the Railroad Commission, Port of Corpus Christi, OxyChem, New Star will be there. The Port of Corpus Christi will be there. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, but I want to talk real quick on the Naval Aviation Training Center. These guys, everybody thinks the jobs are with CCAT, and CCAT will be there as well. They'll have 2 tables, 21 and 22. But the Naval Aviation Training Center, that anything that you see orange nose flying around, that to work with them, that's the way you get in, through the Naval Aviation Training. We just found them and got them out to a couple of our events, and they're doing really good. They've been happy with the return on their investments with us. I think if you have any kind of naval training or aircraft mechanic training or any of those things that have to do with chalking the aircraft, loading the aircraft, all that stuff, that's a good person to get to, because it's super jobs and it's good pay and good people. TDCJ is there, 500 openings. They've got a new program called the traveling. So if you're one of those that doesn't have housing, this is a good one for you. Your first year, you travel from prison to prison, and you'll spend 1 or 2 months and move on, and you get to taste a whole different bunch of prisons in that period of time, building up the manning. And they provide for you the housing and the food and all that stuff while you're on this year. And at the end of it, you get to choose your location. So it's a super deal. So there's a lot of great things out there. There's a lot of great companies. I'm very proud of every company that has joined us. Even the Texas Workforce Commission is going to be there. They are going to be hiring for people for the Texas workforce. So, if you're needing a job, if you're underemployed, if you've got a job, but you're just not happy with it, take November 2nd, take a couple hours, run over, see us. You'll be in at 9 o'clock before anybody else gets in. So you'll have priority there to get in with the folks that you want to get in with and see if you can get your foot in the door. Gina?
If you are working and you're looking for a better position and you have to come during your lunch hour or something like that, if you stop at my table, or grab Lenny, grab one of the different business service representatives, grab one of us, let us know what kind of job you're looking for, and we can help point you in the right direction, because we know you're on a fixed period of time. So utilize us as resources. Let us help you be successful with the career fair, and let us help direct you in that right place. And then we can also help on the other side of things. So we can also help with follow-up services after the fact. So this isn't just a 1 day, one and done kind of thing. Both Texas Veterans Leadership Program and Workforce Solutions, we've got continuing on services to help you reach your employment goals.
Right. And like I said earlier, I work with these people. Gina works with these people. James works with these people. We want to be the FBI. Father, brother, and in-law that helps you get that job. Here's a list that I was reading from just a second ago, and we've got the table numbers with it, and there'll be a matching map that'll tell you where that table's at in the room. So if you only have a short period of time, you can grab this, look on the map, and hit those ones that you need to get, okay?
Yeah, we just had a good question. I just lost it now because I've got way too many windows open.
Nice.
But the question was, and I can't believe I can't find the window now. The question was this in person, or virtual,
Yes.
and it is in person. So it's going to be at the American Bank Center in the Henry Garrett, right? Henry Garrett.
Henry B. Garrett.
So whenever you come in, the American Bank Center, look for the escalators, take the escalator up. There's going to be, we'll have signs and we'll have people directing everybody. And it's also, I say the escalator, but there's also an elevator. So it is ADA accessible.
Right.
So there's an elevator available and the escalator. So there are both. And then also that list that Lenny was reading off, I will, if I can
Put
get the
it
right
in.
window brought up, it is also on the events page. So if you go to, okay, so this is the Workforce Solutions Coastal Bend web page, and the very first banner, you can do view event page, and I'll post this in the chat as well. But here's the event page. So if you haven't registered yet, click this register now button in the upper right-hand corner. You're going to get reminders from us, an updated employer list. But you can also, here's all the details, all the information, the location, the date. But then if you scroll down, here's some of the featured employers. And then here's the employer list. And it's done alphabetically. So here's our A through C, D through O, P through Z. So, and this is updated regularly. So this is another place we will email out the employer list, but you can also find it online.
All right. So we got
there's
84
services.
employers, 86 tables on the inside, all of the stuff like veterans assistance, workforce assistance, the Nueces County Service Officer, all of those folks will be there outside in the atrium, facing the bay. It's going to be really nice. It's a beautiful view. You know, come for the view, stay for the job. I don't know, but we'd love to see you there, and we'd love to hear your story about how you got your next job at a hiring Red, White, and You.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't believe I haven't said this yet today, but I want to encourage everyone to, when you get this employer list, which I'll email it out to everyone that has registered for this spotlight. So I'll email that out. And then if I put the link in actually put it in the Q&A, but I'll get it in the chat as well. And you'll get it in the recap. So do some research, check out these different employers, look for their careers page. So go to Work in Texas and just type in fact, I'll show you how to do this on Work in Texas. So on the homepage and Work in Texas, you can just type in any employer right here, and it says search jobs, but you can search by company. So if we're going to search for brand Safeway, and I was saying Safeway, I always want to spell it with an E also. But you can just type in the employer and hit search, and it'll take a second here, but it's going to bring up all of the opportunities that are available. Now, I didn't sort this by location at all. If you want to sort it by location, you would just type that into that second box. So the first box is where you're going to put the company, and then the second box. Are you seeing the screen, Lenny? Because I don't.
Yes,
see my
I'm
line.
seeing the screen. You're
Okay.
doing good.
Okay, good. I usually have a red border around the screen when I'm sharing. I was like, oh no, you guys aren't even seeing what I'm talking about. But on here, you can see all the different, positions and the location that it's at. And like I said, you can sort it by location. So if I wanted to only look for positions, in the Corpus area, I could sort that way. So, utilize those resources.
And every employer that's at the hiring Red, White, and You has to post with us in Work in Texas, or that's a restriction that they can't get in. So, you don't have to go find their thing. When you go into Work in Texas, you'll see the available jobs. You'll know if you match well, and you can apply. And normally that by applying through us, it takes you right over to their system and puts you in the right position. So, do yourself a favor, check it out on Working Texas first, and then follow up from there. Gina, it was a great show, I think. I appreciate you inviting me to be a co-host in your world of expertise.
I don't know about expertise. Thank you, though. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing about the tables and where they can find employers, because that's huge and very helpful. So, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is there one more question? Oh, no. Okay. We got all the questions. All right.
Yes.
Well, there's only a few minutes left. We can give a few seconds in case someone is typing anything in, but that's all we have. So do the research, apply for those jobs ahead of time so that whenever you go to hiring Red, White, and you can tell the employer that you've applied for the job. And then that way they're going to put a face at the name. And you heard today from a lot of our employers that they do have that personal touch. And so when you have applied for the job ahead of time, that shows them that you are a motivated job seeker. And that a lot of times can give you kind of a leg up on other job seekers. So that's kind of last advice. You have any final words, Lenny?
Well, I just want to say one thing. I mean, the days of just putting in the application, not checking back are over, guys. You got to actually follow up, and you might have to contact them 2 or 3 times. You think that they're upset with you, but not really. Because they're looking for folks. If they're posting, they're looking for folks. And if you're making yourself available, then they're thinking, wow, this person really wants a job, and they'll just give you that chance. I don't know how many times I've told people, go back, say hi, say, hey, I dropped off my application. Just want to see if you had a chance to look at it, and they're like, no, we haven't gotten there yet. We're supposed to look at that at the end of the week or something like that. It just hasn't hit that timing yet. So you got an idea what's going on. Don't sit there and get upset and worry about, they didn't want you or something like that, because it's not true. Check in, check back. Don't be afraid to go out there and get yourself a job, right? Nobody's going to give it to you. You got to get it for yourself. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rowland. I think it was Kenneth Rowland said, Gina,
Yes.
you did a great job. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your service.
Bye.
I'll send you a recap tomorrow.
Okay.